Hello and welcome to the evening news for Wednesday, April 23, 2014. I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for joining us. In the headlines, father of two crushed to death after accident at construction site of the new Giftland shopping mall. Couple hospitalized after being gun-butted and robbed $1.7 million at Blackbush Polder. Jamaican duo remanded following drug bust, and Dr. Luncheon describes 2014 budget appropriation bill as draconian. Now for the news in detail. A father of two was today pinned to death after a quantity of sheet glass fell on him at a construction site at Giftland Mall, Lilliandale, East Coast, Demerara. The incident occurred at about 10:30. Jeremy Ames, called Tall Man, aged 27, of Lot 74 Prince William Street, Plaisance, East Coast, Demerara, was pronounced dead on arrival at the Woodlands Hospital. According to information received, Ames and a group of workers were offloading a quantity of sheet glass from a container when they accidentally collapsed, pinning him in the process. The other men managed to escape unhurt. When the Newscast visited the site for a comment from the manager, the security did not give access to the premises, claiming that they were instructed not to allow any media operatives on the property. Work at the construction site was halted after the incident and workers were sent home. Denzel Washington, a cousin of the dead man, who also works at the site, told the Evening News it took them about 30 minutes to get the glass off Ames and another 30 minutes for the ambulance to arrive at the scene. Washington stated that Ames might have been alive if they had rushed him to the hospital immediately after he was pulled. The young man explained that after Ames was pulled, blood was oozing from his mouth and forehead. He added that the weight of the windows is estimated at some 500 pounds. Police at Berbice have launched a manhunt for two men who allegedly severely beat and robbed an elderly couple at their home in Blackbush Polder. The men have since been identified only as Appleboy and Vinod Gopal by the victims of the incident. The latter allegedly escaped from lawful custody early in the year after he was charged for the murder of his father. Our correspondent in Berbice, Sherry-Ann Ramnott, is reporting that the police have since issued arrest warrants for the men. Early in the day, the police confirmed that on Tuesday night, the men carted off $1.7 million after robbing a family at around 19 hours at the Yakusari North Blackbush Polder home. The men gained entry to the home through an opened door and held Bajnath Nawaz, aged 58, and his wife, Kalawati Nawaz, at gunpoint. They then made good their escape. The couple has since been hospitalized at the Anamaya Memorial Hospital, where they are being treated for a fractured skull and other severe injuries after being gun-butted and beaten mercilessly by the men with a cutlass. Speaking from their hospital beds, the couple also explained that an employee of theirs was in the company of the men early in the day when they were robbed. They are alleging, too, that he was well aware that he had withdrawn a large sum of money to pay staff and conduct other business. The police are continuing their investigation into the matter. Benjamin Isaiah Carrington and Tomorrow Nicola Douglas were today charged separately with the possession of narcotics when they appeared in the Georgetown Magistrates Court before Chief Magistrate Priya Sinarain Bihari. The details in this report.
It is alleged that on April 21, 2014, at about 700 hours, the duo arrived at the Cheddi Jagan International Airport on a Fly Jamaica flight number OJ152, and as they were passing through the scanner at the airport, police observed a block-like substance in both of the parties' suitcases, which was confirmed as cocaine. An analysis revealed that it was narcotics. Benjamin Isaiah Carrington, 26, was charged with the possession of 15 kilograms and 454 grams of cannabis, while Tamara Nicola Douglas, 30, was charged with the possession of 12 kilograms and 272 grams of cannabis. Carrington, who is a father of one and a vendor, has no fixed place of abode, while Douglas is a mother of four and a hairdresser by profession. Both defendants, who were represented by attorney-at-law Madan Kissoon, pleaded not guilty to the individual charges that were read against them. Attorney Kissoon asked for bail for both his clients, stating that the narcotics wasn't found on their physical person but in their suitcases. He also informed the court that upon their arrest, their passports were confiscated, so neither of his clients is at flight risk, and noted that Douglas has some health issues. Police prosecutor Michael Grant objected to bail in both cases on the grounds of the nature and gravity and prevalence of the offense. He also told the court that both parties confessed to having the narcotics in their possession and that they packed their suitcases by themselves, so they knew that they contained the narcotics. The two were remanded until May 2014, when they will make their next court appearance and stand trial in the Georgetown Magistrates Court before Chief Magistrate Priya Sunarayan Bihari.
Head of the Presidential Secretariat, Dr. Roger Luncheon, has described this year's appropriation bill as draconian. Let's find out why from Alexis Rodney.
At his post-cabinet press briefing earlier today, Dr. Luncheon told reporters that when compared to the bills of 2012 and 13, this year's bill is much harsher in its own rights. He explained that the parliamentary opposition has used its one-seat majority to disapprove funding for major government sectors, preventing development in these areas.
In this, the 2014 version, the opposition in Parliament has not approved funding for sectors, government sectors, that if non-funding remains unchanged, essentially would prevent funding for all programmed activity in those sectors.
The Cabinet Secretary recalled the Chief Justice's ruling, which reduced the opposition's option of cutting the funding of programs. According to him, it is most unfortunate that the time frame for negotiating a compromised solution between the opposition and the government was stepped on by the Constitution.
An appropriation bill constitutionally is due at the latest the end of the fourth month of the fiscal year, the end of April. It was equally unfortunate that the plans for even the time-restricted negotiations that were entertained, they were thwarted by opposition neglect.
He said the Parliamentary Committee of Supply's decision on the 2014 appropriation bill reflected the majority of the opposition. He said too that the opposition selectively disapproved funding, which has essentially determined the provisions of the appropriation bill.
It is obvious that the constitutional mandate of the elected executive government to govern cannot be discharged without adequate financing. We all know it pays to run governments.
Luncheon related that the appropriation bill is yet to be assented by the President. However, he could not say where the bill was at the time. Reporting for the Evening News, I'm Alexis Rodney.
52-year-old Caracas Village, West Kanji Berbice resident Errol Lindo died as a result of shock and hemorrhage due to multiple gunshot wounds after he was shot several times by a New Amsterdam businessman following a land dispute. The businessman has since been identified as Charles Bristol Henry, who is the owner of Bristol Mall at Main and Lad Lane. He was remanded on Tuesday after being charged for Lindo's murder. The post-mortem examination was done by government pathologist Dr. Vivekanand Brijmohan at the New Amsterdam Hospital mortuary. During the exercise, a bullet which was lodged in Lindo's upper chest was removed. Stay tuned, this is the Evening News. More news after break. This is the Evening News on TVG. Welcome back. Cabinet Secretary Dr. Roger Luncheon today confirmed that government and U.S. representatives will again meet to have discussions on the U.S. aid lead project. More from Alexis Rodney.
Both Cabinet Secretary Dr. Roger Luncheon and the U.S. Ambassador Brent Hart have confirmed the meeting, which is expected to be held tomorrow. Both parties have also promised to make pronouncements regarding the consultations soon after.
I would like to answer that question after tomorrow.
Last week, as his first press briefing since his recovery, Dr. Luncheon had said that the continuation of the United States Agency for International Development Leadership and Democracy project was provocative. This was because the U.S. had gone ahead with the project despite government's request for it to hold until the two countries complete discussions. He had disclosed that while he is inclined to communicate with U.S. authorities, he was yet to understand why the U.S. will take such a course when government has been clear on its position. The U.S. aid was contracted to execute the $300 million International Republican Institute-funded project. However, government has rejected the project, stating that there are certain aspects within it that they are not satisfied with. The U.S. ambassador had maintained that the project was good for Guyana and that the embassy will go ahead with it. For the Evening News, I'm Alexis Rodney.
Now some news from the courts. Storm Govaya was charged with 2 counts of possession of narcotics when he appeared before Chief Magistrate Priya Narain Bihari in the Georgetown Magistrates Court today. The first charge stated that on April 21, 2014 at Norton Street Lodge, the defendant was found in possession of 3.5 grams of cannabis, while the second read that on the same day he was also found in possession of 1.5 grams of cocaine for the purpose of trafficking. Govaya was unrepresented and pleaded guilty to the first charge, which he was fined $3,000 and ordered to serve 6 months community service at the Georgetown prisons. He told the court that he smokes weed and was found with the substance after he had purchased it and was on his way to home to take a smoke. However, to the second charge, the man pleaded not guilty and was remanded to prison by the chief magistrate. Govaya is set to return to court on May 8, 2014, where he will make his appearance before Magistrate Sabaya Azor in the Georgetown Magistrates Court. The police are investigating an incident which saw a teenager being shot while out with a group of friends at Bartica Beach on Tuesday. Andy Fraser of 6th Street, Bartica, has been admitted to the Bartica Hospital after one of his friends allegedly took out a firearm and discharged a round which struck him to his left foot. Meanwhile, a family of 7 is now counting their losses after a fire of unknown origin swept through the 2-story building they once called home at Lot 10 Good Hope, East Coast, Demerara, reducing it to ashes. Faisal Ali Khan, who was at the time residing in the house with his wife and 4 children, along with his grandmother-in-law, told us newscast that he was in bed at around 22 hours on Tuesday evening when he heard his neighbor shouting fire. Khan related that as he began to exit his room, he was met with the sight of smoke emanating from the lower flat of the building and rapidly moving to the upper flat where his family members were sleeping. The man commended the fire service for reaching the scene in a timely manner, but noted that their efforts were in vain as nothing could have been saved. Asked what could have been the cause for the fire, Khan disclosed that he cannot say. He noted, however, that the fire started from an apartment in the bottom flat, which was always locked. The Khan family is now seeking refuge at a relative's home a couple doors down from where the fire took place. Stay tuned, this is the Evening News. More news after break. This is the Evening News. Welcome back. In this report, we'll hear now that the newly elected president of the Guyana Teachers Union, Mark Light, has major plans for the reformation of the entity. Let's find out more in this report.
Mark Light, newly elected president of the Guyana Teachers Union, says he plans to appeal the current working conditions and benefits offered to Guyanese teachers.
There are lots of plans in place, basically to improve teachers' working conditions, which includes access to the place of work, resources, teachers' benefits, and other things that will make teachers happy as they continue to serve the nation's children.
Light also explained that plans are also afoot to properly educate teachers on their rights.
Work to educate teachers on the rights and responsibilities that they have, because I think everywhere we go, teachers are asking what is expected of us, what do we need to do. So we want to work closely with our stakeholders to ensure that teachers are quite aware of what they have to do, and in so doing that they be adequately compensated for their effort once they do the job professionally. You know, one of the things is also to train to work alongside our stakeholders to ensure that teachers are trained to be professionals on the job, and true professionals, you know, that we can go back to the former days where people who are in the teaching profession had a passion for teaching. Some of that has been lost, and we want to work towards enhancing that.
Light was elected the president of the GTU last evening at the union's biennial conference. The new president was preceded by Colin Bino. For the evening news, I'm Gabriela Patram.
The Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport has denied a report which stated that 16 children had escaped from the New Opportunity Corps after being sexually assaulted. According to the article published on an online media, the escaped children are currently being held at a Sophia holding facility where they are awaiting a court date. The article had also alleged that several of the children were sexually assaulted and their parents are now questioning whether the facility is safe for their loved ones. Task Force for Guyana's Youth, a non-government, non-profitable organization based in Florida, is on the verge of expanding its scholarship program as it continues to meet the needs of underprivileged children in Guyana. Svetlana Marshall reports.
For the past 10 years, Task Force for Guyana's Youth has been contributing to the overall development of underprivileged children, a part of the Bernice Manson School for Underprivileged Girls, Friends and Company, and the Sophia Literacy Program. With major emphasis being placed on education, Chief Executive Officer of the task force, Donna London, said the scholarship program will be gradually expanded. Currently, 4 youths are benefiting from the scholarship program, 1 at the University of Guyana and 3 at President's College, Queen's College and Bishops. 2 more scholarships will be offered this year. In addition to the scholarship program, the task force assists the 3 identified organizations in meeting the needs of underprivileged children. London and 9 other members are here in Guyana meeting with the children they have been supporting.
We've been meeting a number of these kids and a number of these groups for the last 2 days. I have to say it's been a very emotional experience because, as you know, many children here need help. We have met parents, we have met the kids themselves, and we are, I would say, even more determined to continue to do this work, or to do this mission, to carry on this mission indefinitely into the future for as long as we can.
The task force secretary, Michelle Ralston, while speaking at a press conference today at Duke Lodge, said 2 main events are rolled out each year to rake in the funds needed to assist Guyanese children.
We have an annual brunch, which we invite members, primarily members of the Guyanese community who are living abroad in South Florida. We actually have people that travel from elsewhere as well to South Florida for the events that we have. So the 2 annual events, one is our annual brunch, which takes place right before Mother's Day, which is in May. And our main event is a tea party that we host. It's usually either at the end of September or the beginning of October.
The Task Force for Guyana's Youth is made up of 12 women who reside in Florida, USA, but are Guyanese. In its earlier years, the organization supplied clothing, computers, shoes, and even food items to meet the needs of youths in Guyana. The members have pledged to expand their program year after year.
Back in the courts, a taxi driver of 63 Norton Street Lodge was today placed on a bond to keep the peace by Chief Magistrate Priya Sinarain Bihari when he appeared before her in the Georgetown Magistrates Court. It is alleged that Royston Belfield unlawfully assaulted Michael Adams on April 11, 2014 at Norton Street Lodge to cause him actual bodily harm. Belfield was unrepresented and pleaded not guilty to the charge and told the court he has no previous brushes with the law. More news still ahead. Stay tuned. This is the Evening News. This is the Evening News. Welcome back. Simply Royal last evening crowned Stacey Ramcharan as Miss Earth Guyana 2014 at a coronation ceremony held at the Umanayana. Ramcharan was crowned by reigning Miss Guyana Universe Katrina Roshana. Miss Earth is an annual international beauty pageant promoting environmental awareness. The reigning queen will dedicate her year to promote specific projects and address issues concerning the environment and other global issues through school tours, tree planting activities, street campaigns, coastal cleanups, and other such environmental activities. In this report, we hear now that the Guyana Defense Force Coast Guards have begun a two-day naval training exercise being conducted by the Brazilian Naval Task Group.
The training exercise is being done as part of Operation Caribex 2014, during which naval techniques and other advanced practices will be exchanged. The Brazilian Navy arrived in Guyana on Tuesday with 2 patrol vessels and 19 officers along with 8 military crewmen. The vessels are docked at the GDF ship Heinz Rumvelt. GDF Commander Gary Beaton disclosed that last year 8 ranks were sent to Brazil for training under the Caribex 2013 program.
This year we'll do training aboard airship and aboard GDF Essequibo, which is the flagship of Guyana. That training will entail man overboard drills, damage control, to name a few. But at the end of it, they're expected to let us know the state of Essequibo.
The commander noted that Brazil has several vessels of the same class as Guyana's flagship, GDF Essequibo. As such, its navy has the expertise to conduct the training. Meanwhile, the captain, Jackson Sales, said the Brazil Navy crew is here to strengthen friendship by helping the GDF Coast Guards.
We are here at your country to straighten our friendship, to help your Coast Guard with training, with support with all types of knowledge how to conduct Guyana Defense Force ships.
As part of their visit to Guyana, the Brazilian Navy organized an open tour for the public today from 14 hours to 17 hours. The Brazilian Navy will be leaving Guyana on Thursday, heading for Suriname and then French Guyana.
Station 3 Evening News, sports, sponsored by Macor, is after break. Welcome back now for a look at sport, but first the headline. Exciting action envisaged as Namilco football concludes this weekend. Alfred King highlights Guyana's anti-doping strategy, and Chennai Spinners strangle Rajasthan Royals. Of course, the sportcast comes to the kind compliments of Macor.
We believe that everything worth building should be built just once. That is why we build on culture, on trust, on integrity. We exist to do more, better, faster, safer. Your success depends on the foundation it's built on. Everything we do is meant to move you forward. Macor, let's build Guyana together.
Welcome back. Now for the details, we start off with some football news. After weeks of keenly contested rivalry, the annual Namilco One Love Football Classic will wrap up this weekend with the final and third place playoff for the GFC Ground Border. We spoke with the president of the organizing club, Fruta Conquerors, earlier today. Fruta Conquerors and the National Milling Company Namilco have collaborated for close to a decade to stage the Interclub tournament, which will come to a close on Sunday with the championship game and third place playoff. In giving a review of what has transpired during the past weeks, President of Fruta Conquerors FC, Wayne Ford, pointed out that they are generally satisfied with the quality of football that was played, but a bit disappointed with the lack of crowd support, especially for matches in Georgetown.
Specifically with the conduct of the tournament itself, I think we've completed 7 days of very competitive football with very few incidents on field or off field, and I think that that is something to be pleased about. If you ask me if I'm satisfied with the crowd support, the answer can be somewhat subdued.
In comparing this year's 16-team competition to previous years, Ford pointed out that 2014 was the best year in terms of quote-unquote the football product.
Because what we did this year, we organized the tournament between March and April obviously trying to capitalize on the good weather we experienced during that period. The other years, the tournament was played either in November. Last year we played it in February, and it was affected severely by bad weather. Bad weather affect crowd turnout, and it affect the quality of play, because you know, sloppy, wet condition is not the ideal condition to play football.
With crowd support being an issue during the Georgetown matches this year, Ford highlighted that fans will be in for a treat on Sunday, as apart from the 2 football games, there will be added entertainment.
Well, what we've done in trying to hype up the tournament and to gain the interest of the football lovers out there, we've partnered with the Slingers family, and there's going to be an exciting after party hosted by the Slingers family at the GFC ground. That's where the finals are going to be.
In the third place playoff, Fuda Conquerors will take on Rhythm Squad at 18 hours, while the championship game will bring together Alpha United and the Guyana Defence Force at 20 hours. Alpha United have won the tournament 3 times, while the Guyana Defence Force have lifted the title 2 times. The champion team will walk away $1.2 million richer, while the runner-up, 3rd and 4th place finishers will receive $600,000, $400,000 and $200,000. Trophies will also accompany the cash prizes. Permanent Secretary in the Sport Ministry Alfred King, in a recent interview, highlighted the level of doping in Guyana and the systems in place to tackle the issue. He spoke with Tristan Joseph.
With doping becoming a major issue in Guyana sports recently, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Sport, Alfred King, spoke on the systems in place to help keep sports clean.
We're looking at education as well, because what we found is that the athletes don't even understand the protocols involved in being tested. The importance of, as an elite athlete, as submitting your whereabouts or your training schedules and things like that, so you can be monitored. So as it relates to anti-doping in Guyana, we're still at a stage where we're now trying to organize for anti-doping activities in Guyana.
Further, King shed some light on the current system being used, which stems from the Regional Anti-Doping Association, RADA.
So for almost every operation of anti-doping activity, including education, including testing in and out of competition, including therapeutic use, exemptions, and so on, you can call on the RADA structure and they'll provide that support. So I think we were using that effectively. But we'll have to move beyond that if we're to do more of what we're supposed to do in terms of education and out-of-competition testing.
In addition, he highlighted the path that the Ministry of Sport will take to help reduce doping.
The ministry is now moving in a position where an anti-doping desk would be set up with an officer. What that means, that person will be charged with the day-to-day responsibility of managing and implementing plans relating to anti-doping in Guyana. And that person will be answerable to an anti-doping committee that will be established.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Sport will continue its out-of-competition testing along with programs to sensitize athletes on doping for the remainder of the 2014 year.
And finally, some cricket news from the Indian Premier League. Ravindra Jadeja made 36 not out and then picked up 4 wickets to lead Chennai Super Kings to a 7-run win over the Rajasthan Royals in match 10 of the league. Jadeja's knock shored up Chennai's innings after they suffered a collapse when Dwayne Smith was dismissed for an even 50 of 28 balls. As it turned out, 140 for 6 was just enough as Rajasthan struggled throughout, being dismissed for 133 in the final over, with Jadeja getting 4 for 33. The IPL will continue tomorrow with the Royal Challengers Bangalore and Chris Gayle playing Sunil Narine and the Kolkata Knight Riders. And with that, we've come to the end of sport, which is sponsored by Marcorp. Of course, you can find these and many more stories in tomorrow's edition of the Guyana Times, and here's an invitation to join us on TVG Channel 28 and on Radio Guyana Inc., 89.3 in Essequibo, 89.5 in Georgetown and Barons, and 89.7 in Berbice and Unicary, Suriname. Stay tuned. Your bridge reports on the other side of the break.
Believe that everything worth building should be built just once. That is why we build on culture, on trust, on integrity. We exist to do more, better, faster, safer. Your success depends on the foundation it's built on. Everything we do is meant to move you forward. Marcorp, let's build Guyana together.
Welcome back. Now for a look at your bridge reports. The Damrara Harbour Bridge will be closed on Thursday, April 24 at 13 hours 30 for a period of 1.5 hours. And the Berbice River Bridge will be closed on Thursday, April 24 at 12 hours 45 for a period of 1.5 hours. And with that, we've come to the end of the evening news for Wednesday, April 23, 2014. I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for watching.